Hello there. As you know, I'm Black Bright News and I often just talk about news, but I wanted you to enter a different side of my world, which is the world where I DJ. So I wanted to give you a little insight on what that involves. You might want to listen to me one night, you never know, but if you do, on Fridays I'm on Lovers Rock Radio 7 till 9, and on Saturdays I'm on Gold Standard Radio 7 till 9. So, there's a whole world of music that never reaches the listener's ears. Not because it isn't beautiful, not because it isn't powerful, and not because the artist didn't pour everything they had into it, but because somewhere along the line, between the studio and the airwaves, the connection breaks. And that connection, that invisible thread between artist and audience, is held together by people like us, like me, DJs, voices behind a microphone, listeners behind headphones, curators behind endless hours of sifting, sorting, researching, checking, rechecking, and caring. And most people don't know what goes into this. And sometimes even artists don't know, because this job is more than pressing a play button. It's weeks of invisible labour that never appears on the screen or in credits. Let me tell you what it looks like. Every week, for me anyway, every week hundreds of tracks arrive from all over the world into my inbox, from South Korea, France, Germany, Brazil, the Polynesian Islands, the Caribbean, Africa, everywhere. Sometimes the title is in a language I don't speak. Sometimes there's no translation. Sometimes the file arrives simply labelled track 03, like a mystery to be solved. No artist name, no release date, no story, no credits, no links, no context at all. And still I listen, because I know each track carries someone's dreams. I know what it costs an artist emotionally, financially, spiritually to create music. I hear that sacrifice in every note. But there's something artists don't often hear. I make sacrifices too. Most DJs make sacrifices. People hear us smile through the microphone. On air they hear our confidence, they hear us introduce songs as though it just floated effortlessly into our hands. But they don't see the hours behind the scenes, the long evenings combing through a digital mountain of submissions, the detective work trying to guess which artist belongs to which file, the search through platforms for a translation or a title or a scrap of information to help us pronounce the name with dignity. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. Most DJs, like me, pay to do this work. We actually pay. It's £20 to £25, but might not seem a lot in the grand scheme of things, but that's over £1,000 a year. The people curating culture, discovering new voices, promoting emerging music, they're paying out of their own pockets to keep music alive. And then there are the station owners, the ones who keep the lights on. Most listeners have no idea that running an international radio station can cost up to £3,000 a year. So something like Gold Standard Radio, that's how much it costs. Streaming infrastructure, PPL, PRS licensing, websites, broadcasting software and broadcasting fees depending on how much storage you use, server fees, maintenance, equipment, marketing. The list goes on. These costs don't disappear. Someone has to carry them, and so station owners rely on DJs to be punctual, responsible, and reliable with their fees. But the truth is, some DJs don't pay. Not because they're bad people, but because they don't understand what is involved. They think the radio runs itself. They think airtime is a casual hobby, not a carefully maintained operation. And some of them just think that because they are the ones playing the music, they'll have this attitude, look, the radio can't exist without me. I'm producing the show, so why should I pay? They don't see the stress behind the scenes, the nights spent troubleshooting, the monthly expenses piling up. So here we all are, artists working tirelessly to create music, DJs working tirelessly to create, evaluate, and broadcast that music, station owners working tirelessly to keep the platform alive so that any of this is even possible. Three different worlds, each full of labour, each full of pressure, each full of heart, and yet none fully understand the other. But in the middle of this triangle lies the listener, waiting to connect with something real, and that connection depends on us, artists, DJs, and broadcasters, working in harmony. Artists often expect DJs to understand the emotional and financial strain behind creating a track, and we do. But DJs need something in return, not a long biography, not a list of famous people you've performed with, not an ego-driven press release. We need usability. We need clarity. We need context. We need your name on a file. We need something in English we can produce or introduce you so we can introduce you properly. We need the meaning behind the song so we can present it with respect. We need to know whether it's already released or if it's an exclusive. We need to pronounce your name correctly so listeners can actually find you. A lot of artists, because they want to produce something, they just find old releases and then they send it to us as a new release, and then we might play it and then somebody says, oh, that's been out for ages ago. It's not fair on the DJs to have to work out how long a track is. So we need to know this information when it was released. It doesn't matter if it's an old track, but we need to know. These small things, the ones that take you minutes, save us hours. When an artist sends a clean submission with proper information, it's like gold. It makes the song easier to present, easier to champion, easier to celebrate. It makes the DJ feel supported rather than drained. It makes a relationship feel more like a partnership than a favour. Because let's be honest, DJs don't have to play your music. DJs choose to. They choose to spend their limited hours searching for tracks that deserve to be heard. They choose to introduce new artists to an audience that trusts their taste. They choose to champion voices that algorithms and industry gatekeepers overlook. And when an artist acknowledges that effort, when they repost, comment, share, or simply say thank you, it strengthens the whole ecosystem. All those interrelated networks. Because this isn't about ego, it's about community. DJs and artists need each other. Station owners need both, and listeners need all three. So maybe the future looks like this. Artists giving DJs the information they need to present their music properly. DJs openly communicating the work that goes into creating a show. Stations educating DJs about the real cost of keeping the platform alive. And all of us supporting one another so that the music, real music, continues to thrive outside the tight grip of algorithms and streaming monopolies. The truth is, the path from an artist's studio to a listener's heart is long. It travels through cables and servers, through hands and microphones and headphones, through passion and patience. And on that path, DJs are the guardians, station owners are the foundation, artists are the beating heart. We all carry something, we all sacrifice something, we all love this thing called music enough to give pieces of ourselves to it. So here's to recognising the work behind the work. Here's to honouring each link in the chain, and here's to building a world where artists, DJs and radio stations lift each other instead of silently struggling in separate corners. Because music deserves nothing less, and the people who bring it to life, every single one of them, deserve to be seen. So I hope that gave you an insight into my world of being a DJ, what it involves, and I work full time. Well, I work 4 days a week, so you can imagine me doing these vlogs and DJing on 2 radio stations. It's a lot of work. So I felt I needed to share that with you. So you take care now. Be good. Love the one you're with.